We're at the bottom of the car. Here's the right side rocker. What we need to do is we need to make this rocker match up with this line right here. And it's about 3 or 4 millimeters in. One thing you can do with this rocker, seeing how it's already bolted here, and this rocker is kind of twisted anyway, it is absolutely locked into the top mount. If you push this in right here, I'm not sure if you can see it, I'm going to put another thing over here. As I'm pushing this, this is what it's doing. Now, what do I need to do? Well, I need to make a mount to basically bring this in and hold it so it doesn't go anywhere. And that way it just gives me a little bit of room over here for another mount just to bring it right out to match this up perfectly, or as close as I can, within 1 millimeter. One of the problems I'm running into is, you see this rocker right here? Here's a line. I brought my old yardstick. That is a line that basically delineates the flat portion from the portion that's curved in. This right here is basically perpendicular to the car. This is the angle that it's up. So it's probably about 15 degrees or something like that. The problem that I'm going to run into, at least I think I will, is that when I put this all on to secure it to these mounts, that angle will actually scrape the panel bond off. And that's the thing I'm worried about the most. So what do I want to do? I want to take my air cutter and I'm going to cut this all off so it gives me plenty of room to work. Then I can use just pieces of metal, drill them and clean this stuff all up and weld it to it. And then we have something where we can just slip on where the panel bond is not going to squish out or get scraped out. Bolt everything to it, and everything's going to be relatively stable. I'm going to have it mounted in 4 places right here where everything is set right to this and then to the bottom. Yes, I'm going to have airspace underneath here, but there's going to be a metal panel over here to protect everything. I mean, it should be good. It should be good. Well, I mean, but remember, my first time, so I'm winging it. All right, let me see. I've been stalling long enough. I got to get my cutter on. I got my cutter, and let me just cut up this fiberglass. Best I can do. Kind of nerve-wracking doing it too. Rock is here. I had to steal the rest of the Clecos from the rally car. Actually, I'm pretty happy with it. This piece of metal is all I did was just one leftover from the pallet of that what they use to ship motorcycles and 4-wheelers and all that stuff. I just cleaned it up with a flap wheel and cut out a couple notches and we're all good. Stole the rest of the Clecos from the rally car. All I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these supports right here to the base of the bottom of this. And then I'm going to go over there and do that because that'll be, then I actually kind of like this because if you feel the rocker, when I put this whole plate across, I'm also going to, put panel bond here with rivets all the way down. That way it's going to be really tough. Then lay the piece of metal over this. I think it's going to be pretty good. I kind of like it. All right, let me roll over the bottoms and then go over there. We'll cut the rocker and get that done. The rocker panel mount is done. You're probably wondering, why did I beef this thing up so much? Well, I used the other pieces. See these pieces right here I stuck in here? These are also from that metal pallet that I took, all the free metal from. The main thing is, what I'm trying to do is support the entire bit of fiberglass. And you can see, this thing goes up and down. It's like a little wave. Same thing on the bottom here, but this is conforming to the inner part of the rocker panel that's not mold formed. So it's going to be wavy. This way, if it's wavy and conforms to the rocker panel, you get the most amount of panel bond and the best adhesion from the panel bond to the rocker panel, when it's conforming to the entire thing. Also, we don't want an unsupported rocker panel, especially fiberglass. When an unsupported rocker that's made out of fiberglass and someone who does not know, who wants to ride in your car and steps on it, they're going to go through the rocker panel. Just like, Jesus Christ. So what you got to do, I'm trying to prevent all that, so I'm giving as much support structure as I can to prevent that. Also, you're probably looking at this thing, man, that kind of looks like a rock slider on a Jeep. Well, yeah, because what happens if you're playing around out in the dirt and you go into a ditch? What's the first thing that's going to be going onto the ditch? It's going to be the rocker panel, because you're going to be sliding off the road into the ditch. So I'm trying to make this as strong as I possibly can to have the fiberglass not move, and to have a bigger or greater survivability chance. Yes, there's going to be a metal plate on top. I mean, it's all going to be sandwiched. Hopefully, it's going to be strong enough to prevent any real damage to the rocker panel, and should stay in position and won't break apart. Hopefully, but you never know. Other than that, this is all set. I gotta go do the other side. Then we're gonna move to the back to make sure the back is ready to panel bond too. More things, but I'm getting excited, getting closer and closer. This is all it is, step by step. All right, let me go run and do the other one. One thing, when you start basically cleaning up everything to finish weld it, you're sitting there going, I'm going to get this panel on there and it's going to be done. You have to look around to see what you haven't done. So, what haven't I done? You know what this is? This is the trunk release, or the hood or boot release for the Coupe GT and Quattros. This section right here has a slot in it, just like the other ones, where this thing is welded to the chassis and goes through. This thing just doesn't have a hole on the other side in order for it to come through and have the little lever there. One thing is, you're probably wondering, well, geez, it was never cut for it. Well, take a look at this door. see this section right here? This section right here is basically, you know, good enough so this thing will miss the handle, because it's the same, not the same exact, but it's really, really close to what's over there. And we can modify the door a little bit, but I want to keep this as stock as possible. Now, I took this one off of the Coupe GT that we use for the rally car, because I'm going to use manual hold downs in the back for the trunk, just like the way the factory did it. I'm not going to be using this, so this is what I snagged it from. Because I know I snagged the one from this car that donated it, but I have no idea where it is. So, all right. Now, you're probably wondering, I pulled this section off right here. This was side impact or side intrusion protection. So if somebody hits your car, it's going to reduce the amount of, how can I put, ability for the car to enter the cabin. You know, if some other car hits you or something hits you, just trying to reduce it down. What it used this section right here, it used this, and it used this. I'm going to forbe this because we have this bar right here. And what am I going to use for side impact protection? Well, a side impact bar from a Mark V Jetta. I had to grab the 2.5K out of something, or the 07K out of something. So this is what I got. It's really thick. I mean, it's going to go down like this. It should go in pretty well, and it'll give me plenty of clearance for the cable. And I'm glad I didn't put the other section back in there, because I'm just going to use the other door bar to do that, because I want them both equal, so it looks equal. There you go. That's what you have to do. And that was kind of my mistake, but what I have to do next, I mean, I also did the other side of this, you know, this portion right here. It's pretty much exactly the same as on the Coupe GT. The only thing is I have to remove the stickers that's here and drill a hole, or cut a hole for this thing to go in here. So that's pretty much it. Let me, I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the stickers off or grind this stuff up first. I'm not sure, or cut that. Don't know. You'll see it. But just thought I'd let you know, I'm trying to make this as stock as possible. So this goes right here. It's like, all right, you forget things. And, okay, there you go. All right, let me get my grinder, and I'm going to clean that up. Then I'm going to try and get the sticker off, pop a hole in it, see where this thing ends up so I can tack it in. If any of you care, this is not there on the 5+5, but there's plenty of room. It's still flat on the other side. What it is, if we're going to go in the center of this to the center of the door latch, it looks like it's about 113, possibly 114 millimeters from here to center of that. Then we're going to go from the edge of the pinch weld. And if we take a look at it, it looks like the beginning is roughly 41, 42 millimeters, and it goes to 81 or 82 millimeters. So that's what we're looking for a measurement. I just thought I'd show that just in case you don't have a Coupe GT, to give you a mark reference. All right, let's go and do the cutting on the other side. Remember how I measured everything straight down? Well, this first mark right here, that is my well positioned measurement. This is where it's supposed to be. I would think they use the same inner pillar, but they don't. Ugh, all right. So if I sit there and I put this in like that, plenty of movement. It's great. I really like it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to give this a tack weld and smooth this down. Give it a weld right here, because it goes to right here. I just want to fill that in and then get the grommet in there and see how that looks. I just wanted to show you, this is my screw up. All right, don't follow my measurements. I used a chisel in the back. I tapped it. I made a hole. That's what I was originally going to do, but then I wanted to get all fancy. You know what? Don't get fancy. Just tap it, make a mark, and cut it. Oh, really? All right, let me just do that. More shit that I create for myself. All right, then we can get the rest of the stuff done. Yep, doesn't touch it. Didn't move it a second. All right, happy about that. Let me get my welding gear on. One last thing. Before I weld this, I want to make sure this right here is free because it will bind up on you just from time. Also, this is where the cable goes. This is where the bolt goes on the end. You want to make sure this hole right here, where the sheath goes for the cable, is lined up so it doesn't kink when when the cable is put in. That's the thing. Because this was when I pulled it out, it kind of bent up a little bit. That's why I repositioned it. It's just a helpful safety tip. Just make sure they're aligned and this is free to move at least like that, you know. All right, now I can put it in and weld it. What it is, I tacked the outside. I trimmed it. I tacked it because when I weld it, I want to weld it from the inside. Also, another reason why I just tacked it, just in case I have something moved and I have to do something with it. We have our support here and we have our rear trunk release all set up. Let me go to the other side. I want to trim that out, install this section right here from the other support that I got, the other door bar. Then we have to reassess all the small things that we need to do in order for it to be ready to panel bond. That's it. Because I have to go look over it again, look over it again. What do I need to clean? Because once the panel bond is on, that's done. So it's a process, isn't it? But yeah, let's just keep on going. It's the only thing we can do. Let me show you what I've done. You remember I have the metal plate that goes on the inside that runs the lip, the internal lip of the quarter. I have this external plate which basically runs the lip of the quarter. It created a sandwich. This sandwich plate is closed off because I cut cut the back plate of this and then bent all the pieces around. I had to cut it to relief cut it because I don't have a shrinker or a stretcher. So I had to cut it, bend it over, and that way I could weld it without this unconforming or bending or warping up. That's a big thing. And I pushed it down and I tapped it down, tapped it down, tapped it down, tapped it down, and that's just the way I had to do it, And probably the way you're going to have to do it because most people don't have a shrinker or a stretcher just kicking around. Also, what this created for me was, it does two things. First thing is it protects the fiberglass from rocks and stones being thrown up by the wheel. And, rocks and stones hitting fiberglass, it just chews and wastes away the fiberglass. Hitting metal, it generally bounces off. Also, it created, I have that inner lip of steel that follows the quarter fender lip. And this follows the same exact thing. And it closed off in the back. What did it do? It created a trough. A trough basically is something I'm going to fill with panel bond, then squeeze this on. Then, after I squeeze this on with the panel bond oozing out of this, of this lip, I'm going to clamp it, because this thing will go in about another, 1 or 2 millimeters. Clamp it in, use the hammer, tap it down to round the edges all the way around so it locks it in so I can take the clamp off and it'll be set for life. After it's clamped down, you'll still have a bunch of ooze coming out here, but you just, run your finger down with gloves on, of course. Run your finger down, smooth it all out, and it should blend into the quarter really, really well and protect it. So down the road, you're not going to run into any problems with it. All right, I already did the other side because it was kind of a test case for this. I got to do the transitions from the quarters to the rockers. So I'm going to go dig up some metal over there in the scrap bin, and let's see if we can put something together for it. All right, this is what I've done. I have a plate here joining the quarter and the rocker. Why is that? Well, I need a plate to join it because whenever there's a seam, you don't want it to break. And if you don't have anything supporting it except, Bondo, it's going to break. You don't want that to happen. Also, I put an extension plate down here onto this. That's just basically what I had to do. I have clecos on here, and take a listen. It almost sounds like steel. I mean, it's really rugged. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Also, you saw me put a plate right here. The reason is, when I put the clecos all the way up through here, and this is the original point where I had another cleco, it made this panel concave or go in. I don't think the Sport Quattro is like that, and if I tried to smooth it out with filler, I don't want to put that much filler in there. What did I do? I put this plate right here, so the panel bond will bend to it, and the transition makes this, seeing how I added that little plate, makes this dead nut flat, so I have to do very little body work to it. I still have to do the filler here, and it's actually going to be less filler, but it's going to work out, I think, in the long run, because everything's flat up here, everything is flat down here. This thing goes up for the flare, so I made this panel for the flare. Just so when you guys put your panels on, I don't think the Sport Quattro was concave, so I don't see them every day. But I want to let you know, this is the reason why I do it. I got to go over on the other side and do it on that side, and I have to do the bottom portion to join the quarter and the rocker. So I'm going to go over there and do that. Then we're going to start on the front to get this. I'm going to start on the front to panel bond this, because I have to do fiberglassing to the rally car, and I want to do it to this after it's panel bonded. Big whole story about that. That's just the way it is. All right, let me, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to flip this thing over so we can work on the other rocker to get this thing squared away. It's going to be a little bit easier because I have a gap right here, and I swear I saved that little section right where I cut off, where it's too much. If I can find that, I'm going to tailor it in here and put a couple of clecos in here, or a cleco in here, and that's when I'm going to rivet it and bond it with the other fiberglass, with the panel bar. All right. Let me. Yeah, I'm gonna flip this thing over so we can start working on the other side rocker. Get that thing all squared away, and yeah, pretty cool. It's looking better and better every moment. So all right, let me flip this thing over so I have the camera set up here. I can just do it. Well, she's about ready. You're probably wondering why I put clecos in here when I didn't have them before, and I drill holes you know, for pop rivets on the inner part of the fenders over here. Plus have the clecos here and the clecos here. The reason is those bolts, all the bolts that I had in here were for adjustment, and I bolted everything down. I didn't want anything moved. So before anything moved, before I took, you know, made these bolts loose, I drilled all the clecos, put them in there, and it acts like a dowel pin. You know, it's like, you know, when you're putting a clutch on, you have a dowel pin that centers it in. Same thing. That's why I did pop rivet, 1/8" pop rivet, you know, drilled right down here on the side fenders, so I know, because those bolts I can move around, I'll put rivets in there. I know it's aligned up, so everything I've been doing should line up good. Now, what I have to do next, before I panel bond, is I have to go around this thing. First thing, put all, you know, because I took a bunch of clecos out the back, but I ordered another 50, and expect 75 to 80 clecos per car. That's what it seems to be working out to get all the panels fit flat. I have to go around everything. Anything I see with, like, if a panel is here's the metal, here's the panel, and if the fiberglass is up a little bit, that means I need another rivet there to force it down. So I'm going to go around, put all the clecos in to make sure everything will fit flush. If I need any more, I will cut more and put more in. Also, you know, after I do that and make sure everything is all set to panel bond, I'm going to pull everything off and make sure everything's welded underneath. Everything that's not affected, or everything that's going to be covered by the fiberglass, has to be welded. Once I do that, I'm going to clean the metal with a flap wheel. I have to build a tool to make everything, all these rivets fit flush, and then I can panel bond it. Boy, nerve-wracking. Because once you panel bond it, you got to chop it off. There's nothing you can do. You got to chop the bloody thing apart in order to get it off. And that's, once I did it, it's done. So, all right, let me get on with that. I'm not going to show you that. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to probably cut right to the panel bonding, or cut to the rivet flush tool, or cut to something. I'm not sure. But I got to go around and make sure this is okay. All right, let me get on to doing that, and see you in a second. Here is the tool that I made. What is it? Well, pull it off. This is an M8 bolt. Right here, if any of you people do timing belts on TDIs, well, or our 1.8Ts, that is a roller bearing for the timing belt. What I did is I put a I drilled the center hole of this bolt with the lathe. I put a nut on it, and then, well, actually, before I put the nut on it, I took the cutting wheel and made, you know, 3 hits. So what happens is it makes it look like a milling or a milling machine bit. After I drilled this, I took an old drill bit, cut it in half, JB welded it inside. So what happens is this thing will fit on the actual panel and won't move, but this thing spins inside there. And I used a couple of washers and another nut inside here, compressed it together, so it gives me an exact distance of where to countersink. Now let me show you the rivet. Here's the rivet. Take a look. If you look at the actual size of the rivet, it's about 6 to 7 millimeters in width. So taking an M8, an 8 millimeter width bolt, gives me plenty of distance around it, because I'm not trying to take very much off. And the distance is just, you know, it looks like about a millimeter and a half. So what I did was I set this section right here, which digs into it and makes the countersink, from this edge up about a millimeter and a half. I tried to make it as close as I can. So let me show you what it does. You see the bearing? It goes down, and when it stops, it's at its correct distance. And if you put this right here, it's absolutely flush. So I'm pretty happy with that. That way, when this is all done, I'm going to, you know, when it's clamped in, some of the extra panel bond that I have out, I'm just going to smear on the rivet to seal it. Hopefully that'll work and nothing will go in, but this is, I got to do it to all the panels. Anything that's going to need body work. On the bottom portion, like this, no, I'm not going to do it, because it don't need it. It's going to be covered by a metal plate. All right, I got to clean up all of this. I got to countersink every single rivet that's going to be shown, and on this, and on the other fenders too, and on the rockers, That way I can get this thing completely set to panel bond. And it doesn't take hardly any time at all, you know. See, just put it right here. Oh, also, use the shank, not the drill bit portion. I use the drill bit portion to utilize the space in between to lock in with a JB weld, and I use the smooth section or the shank section so it won't hollow out the hole. And it's exact depth for this, exact depth for that. What do you think? I think it's kind of a cool idea, but then again, yeah, I might be just, you know, whatever. All right, let me do the rest of this. Then I'm going to go up and go grab the panel bond, come back down, set my rivets all up, as many as I need, and then I'm going to start doing this. And wish me luck. Done. Well, everybody, next morning. That's not supposed to set for 24 hours, so I'm not going to touch the car. I'm not going to flip it around, not going to do anything. But I want to just give you this end piece of what I did. I probably used almost 100 rivets in the car. This right here is the main riveting gun that I use first. That jammed. Use my backup. So helpful safety tip. Make sure you have a backup of that. This was the awl to align all the holes. When I misplaced that, I used my backup. And a couple times the rivets didn't take, so I had to use a drill to drill them out and redo it. How much panel bond did I use? Well, I used 3.5 sets or bottles, if you want to call it, of 08115 3M panel bond. I used the same tip on every single bond. Why is that? Because this entire tube is filled with panel bond. I don't want to waste any of it because it's $50-something a bottle. And then actually it retails like $78, I think it is, but I bought it off of eBay. And the gun was from Amazon. There's half left in it. One of the biggest things I'm going to tell you right now that saved my bacon on this, because you have to remember, you are under an extreme time constraint. They say you have 90 minutes of what I would call pot time. Pot time is how much something lasts after you mix it up. Paint, resin, whatever. But you have, it says you have 90 minutes, but the stuff gels up a little faster than that. What I did is that rotisserie saved my bacon. I'm telling you right now, if you're doing it alone, which I'm proving to you that you can do it alone, build a cheapo rotisserie. Okay, if it doesn't roll around, it doesn't roll around. Who cares? As long as it's high enough where you can spin it and get everything. I don't think I could have aligned everything up, because when you spin the thing, you get different angles, and you can see all the body lines. And I fitted that body kit probably 5-8 times prior to me doing it. One thing that happened, and one major tip is that when I put the rivets in there, the clecos didn't hold it as tight as the rivets, and it gave me different reading or different gaps in the bodywork. There's 2 clamps on the back, which I had to do because with the clecos on there, the things fit flush, no problem. When the rivets clamped it down tighter, it actually forced the body panel out. So what I did was I added extra panel bond, and I clamped them in with wood clamps. It's just something you had to do on the fly. Same thing. If I have a bunch of rivets drilled out, plus I had to put a bunch of rivets in, because after you clamp it really tight, you'll see waves like this in the fiberglass. So you got to drill it, put the pop rivet in there. So you have to remember, the pop rivets aren't for strength. The pop rivets are to set the thing so the panel bond can gain the strength. And that's pretty much it. this is huge. This is really big. So, I mean, officially, it's now a Sport Quattro. At least it is a shitbox replica of one. But it's all there. I mean, the thing is, I have to do a couple more things because I want to, you know, the front fenders, I need to fiberglass inside to seal them up and build, because I have the plates that I built for it. I got to put those all in for the wheel wells, but I need to, you know, fiberglass the internal portion of it. But what I have to do now is I have to get on the rally car because I only have a couple more weeks left of the hot weather. Right now, I'm just going to finish my coffee, then I'm going to clean my shop up so I can work faster, and then get onto it, because there's a big thing with the rocker panels on that that's going to be really tough. Not tough, but I don't understand what direction I'm going to take. You know, I have to think about it for a day or two, and then work on it. Other than that, thanks for showing up. It's progressing. It's progressing. I appreciate it. You know, anybody who watches this, and I hope you build one. And look at my mistakes, because I've done a lot, but you know, I had to get that thing done. That's priority. That's second. Subaru is third. If I can do it this year in the Subaru, I will. That's the only thing. I want to kind of put the Subaru on a rotisserie. I kind of want to do that, because if I'm doing all of this, I want to put that on the rotisserie to make it nice, you know. All right. Other than that, thanks again for showing up. I really appreciate it. You know, enjoy your coffee and have a great day. Bye now.